Total Drama All Stars.
Okay, let me make one thing perfectly clear about this season. This season is not jumping the shark. No. This is jumping the shark, coming back, shooting it in the balls, eating its flesh, consuming its soul, mounting its head on a wall, and then doing it to 400 sharks with Chris's face just to be safe. Okay. Tyler warned me about this season, about the pain I would go through, and yep, he was more than correct about it. This is, without a doubt, one of the worst seasons of any show that I have ever seen ever in my life. I honestly would say this is worse than the adaptation of The Promised Neverland. And I can't believe I'm bringing that up because I hate the adaptation of The Promised Neverland.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, this is like Total Drama's version of the Star Wars prequels. This is
even the Star Wars prequels would be better. No. This is Total Drama version's equivalent of the Star Wars sequels. Now, I am going to bring up a certain image which I have had on standby, and it's going to be here for the whole stream. Yeah, there it is. So, as you can see right here, this is going to be on screen throughout the entire stream right now, because as you could see, there were a certain few characters that should have been in the season but weren't. So the question that I have to ask is, where the hell were they?
Okay, to contextualize, I think we should probably go into the cast of this season. As the title of the season implies, this is an all-star season, a very popular trope amongst reality TV, where they would bring back a bunch of fan-favorite contestants and have them compete again at another shot of the big grand prize. Survivor has had like a gajillion all-star seasons. Big Brother had a bunch of them. Hell's Kitchen had one, and much like the Hell's Kitchen All-Star season, Total Drama All-Stars is definitely in the pits, especially when it comes to the cast.
Yeah. So, also, just gotta say, hi, Alicia. Can I just ask, are you Midnight Sparkle from Discord? I just want to clarify if it's you. Yeah. Because if it is, then welcome. But yeah, I miss Brig. Brig was honestly one of my favorite characters in Revenge of the Island.
I'm with you there. Brig might be my favorite character from Revenge.
Yeah.
Instead of Brig, we had the final 6 of Revenge, that being Mike, Joe, Scott, Zoe, Cameron, and Lightning, plus Sam.
Yeah, why Sam? Why not? Like, okay, Dawn, B, and Brig would have been much better choice than Sam, because the whole thing with Sam is that his story was completed when he got together with Dakota, and not having Dakota in this season really hurts his character.
It gives him nothing to do, so he's basically a stand-in for Owen. But as for the original cast, we have Courtney, Gwen, Duncan, Heather, Lindsay, Sierra, and Alejandro.
And again, why is Sierra here? Like honestly, I did a count. I literally went back and watched all of Sierra's scenes from Total Drama, to see how many lines she has. She has 88 lines in Total Drama All Stars. Guess how many of them have a mention of Cody?
All of them?
No. To be fair, it's not as much as you think, but it is certainly a lot. 41. 41 out of 88 lines of Sierra mention Cody.
And Cody's not even in this season.
Yes. And again, Harold would have been Harold, LaShawna, or Owen would have been much better choices than Sierra. Like hell, I would have been happy if Noah was in it instead of Sierra.
I will say, I don't think having Owen in this season or LaShawna or Harold would have made it better, because the cast isn't the biggest problem with All Stars. It's a problem, but it's not the biggest.
A lot of people say the cast is an issue. I don't think the cast is an issue. It's what they do with the cast that's the issue. I mean, like, which is why here's my theory about. I figured out a theory of how I can make this season less painful, Tyler. This one and Pocatello Island. So, okay, just imagine this. This is my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Is that All Stars and Pocatello don't happen. They're all in Chris's mind. So we at the beginning, and I'll say into it. I'll say it now. At the beginning, we see Chris in jail. Chef comes to get him out because the producer wanted to produce another season. Okay, all of that plus the season and Pocatello Island, that is in Chris's mind. He is still in the jail, still crazy, thinking up this season in his mind. That's the only way I can make this season less painful, because I imagine Chris will be that goddamn psychotic to do something like that. And it would actually help explain why the characters don't act like themselves in this season.
But okay, so enough preamble. Let's get into the episodes proper, shall we? To really get into the meat and potatoes of why All Stars is such a colossal flop. But,
okay.
So episode 1, Heroes versus Villains. It opens up like how Luke said. We see the prison. We see the psycho killer again. Good to see you, buddy. And we see Chris have this weird bougie ass jail cell. Can't believe I'm saying that. And we find out that he spent an entire only 1 year in jail for dumping toxic waste.
1 year where he should have spent a lifetime, because let's count what the list of crimes off the top of my head. Toxic waste, child endangerment, to be 1 point nice to him but not enough, 2nd-degree murder, collateral damage, more collateral damage,
embezzlement.
Yeah. Wanted destruction of priceless art. I know that's technically Sierra's fault, but still, Chris is responsible for a world tour. And the list goes on. So he is looking at like several life sentences.
I remember there was a video on TikTok, like, calculating how much jail time Chris would actually spend if he was in the real world. I'll have to pull that video up when we're done.
Yeah.
I know it was like dude's got like a criminal record up that spans the United States.
Yeah.
But we see Chef slide Chris a contract, greenlighting another season, and then we get the new intro, which shortens the theme song. So already this is the worst season.
Well, to be fair, to give the season one small margin of a point, that's the least of its problems, because theme songs get shortened all the time.
Yeah, but we get introduced to the cast, and then Chris plays a prank with saying that he's inviting Ezekiel back, but really he's not inviting Ezekiel back. He gets launched away by the robot.
Yeah, he literally took up one of the all-star spots for an Ezekiel prank.
And once, oh yeah, he booted all of them out of a helicopter into the ocean. So once they wash back up, they get divided into teams. And it's here where we see the main problems with Chris this season, is that he way too often digs into the personal lives of the contestants. And just ever heard the phrase poking the bear? Well, he's trying to beat the shit out.
No, he's not trying to beat the shit out. He's taken a crane and dumped them in the spare flight of toxic waste that he's kept secretly hidden from the government, which comes back in the finale.
Because because at least with Gwen, he lords the whole Duncan, Gwen, and Courtney love triangle over Gwen's head, like jangling your keys in front of a baby's face.
Yeah, and Gwen technically has a point because it was very ambiguous. Like, were Courtney and Duncan even together at the time?
But what I can say about Gwen is kissing your friend's ex is just a really bad look.
Well, that's kind of a perspective. Sometimes it is, but other times it can be like, you know what? They work better together as a couple than we ever did, kind of thing. But at the same time, Gwen and Courtney, they're not really good friends for each other if you really think about it. Yeah, but also as well, this leads into one of the major problems with the season is that with the whole heroes versus villains could have worked on paper. It's just that the people being the heroes in this season, aside from Courtney and Cameron, they're not really major powerhouses if you really think about it. It's if this season did have like all these guys here that are on screen, if these were here plus maybe take out Owen, but the other 5 plus Courtney and Cameron for the heroes team, that would have been a really strong heroes team.
Well,
I don't know about you, but I think these 5 minus Owen plus Courtney and Cameron, that would have been a really good heroes team for this season.
Yeah, fair enough. Here's a the teams are divided up into heroes versus villains based on their past performances. We have the villainous vultures made up of Heather, Duncan, Lightning, Joe, Scott, and Gwen, and the heroic hamsters made up of Mike, Zoe, Cameron, Sam, Courtney, Lindsay, and Sierra.
And I've got to do it, Tyler. Excuse me, but how are hamsters heroic?
It was either that or the heroic hippos.
Hamsters it is. Well, he could have meant it. He's done a list of crimes, so why not copyright as well? Hey, we've got Hamtaro as a heroic hamster.
Fair enough. Chris also throws in the robot on the villains team to even out the numbers after the Ezekiel prank.
Which they really build up as a mystery of who's the robot here? It's well, if anyone's seen the end of World Tour, we already know who it is.
Yeah,
it's Alejandro. That's not a spoiler. It's obvious who it is.
Yeah, fuck it. Alejandro's the robot. Like, I don't know why they try to play it up as a secret. Like, it was literally like if you just stuck around till after the credits, you would know that Alejandro is the robot.
I mean, he acts like Alejandro. Even the line he says in robot form, like that's a Alejandro line. It's like the robot is always covering around Heather, and Heather even says there's something I don't like about. Even if you don't see the end of World Tour, the fact that Heather goes, there is something I don't like about that robot. It's like you can tell, like it's Alejandro. I mean, who else is it gonna be?
Beth, Lashana.
Oh no! Actually, that would have been hilarious if it was Lashana. At least that would have been interesting. It would have been like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
but no. Here's the thing: it can't be Lashana because you see the robot on the boat at the beginning of Revenge of the Island, and Lashana's and even if you've not seen the end of World Tour, you can tell like they show all of the original cast plus Sierra, but Alejandro's nowhere to be seen. But yet there's a robot clinging to Heather, and it's like, I wonder who's in the robot.
Yeah,
So yeah. Also as well, for my notes is Duncan. What have they done to you, man? What have sorry. He's not Duncan in this season. He's Patrick.
Okay, to be fair, Duncan's not that bad for like the first 3 episodes, I'd say.
Yeah, fair enough. But then he turns into a Patrick. But the major problem with Duncan in this season is that he's way too like the thing that made Duncan so endearing as a character is that he was the character who did not give a shit about anything. And yet all of a sudden he's very concerned about having Courtney's attention when literally the reason she was dumped was because she was obsessing over making him better with a 32-page document.
Yeah, not to mention like Duncan's whole thing is like being a guy who like doesn't care what other people think of him, and now he's like all of a sudden like super concerned about his image.
Yeah, like super concerned about like later on in the series, slight spoiler, but who cares? It's All Stars. He gets put on the heroes team, and yet he's concerned about portraying his bad boy sides when he never really was concerned about that before.
I mean, he was concerned about being soft and like nice in like the beginning, but like
after a while, he stopped caring about that.
Yeah, like it feels like they're, but again, that gets to be worse later on, so we will cover it later on. So now, we get to the challenge, and the whole thing is that Chris says it's like an homage to like past challenges, which I'm calling bullshit, honestly. Like, yeah, they're homage. Like, some of them are hardly homages, but we'll get to that.
I think this is one of the more like obvious homages because you have the cliff dive, which has Fang there as well. Why is Fang still here? He got his tooth back. Why isn't he just booking it?
I don't know. Maybe he joined that Sharks Union.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like Fang really doesn't need to be here. It's like he got his tooth back. He pretty much got his own back on Scott. It's like, why does he even need to be here? Unless he found out like, hey, Scott's coming back. Great, I can have fun with him again. I don't know, but yeah, this one. So you have the cliff dive to find a key to the new fancy suite, and part 2 of the challenge is being carried in a baby carriage from the challenge from New York City.
Yep. you get carried in a baby carriage all the way to the new McLean Spa Hotel to see if your key fits. If the key's wrong, you got to go back, and then a new diver will go.
Yeah.
And then, like, honestly, like, we see some basic strategizing from Joe, mingling with Lightning and Duncan,
Which she calls Duncan's short pants, and it's like they're not short.
Yeah, but they're hard. I mean, if at the very least, they're past his knees.
Yeah. The way I see short pants is if they're pants that go to your knee but not over them. They're short pants.
Yeah. But the big problem with this episode doesn't come. Well, from the challenge portion, mainly comes from Lindsay, who doesn't even know how to push.
This was literally the most infuriating thing about the episode, and I'll say it once again because I said this in World Tour. Lindsay is not this stupid. It's like this was made by a different writing team who didn't watch Action and saw that when push comes to shove, Lindsay is quite intelligent.
Or at least
it's like
enough to push.
Yeah, competent enough to push and competent enough to lead people, but she's not this goddamn stupid to not know how to push, to not know what direction she is. They literally were just like, okay, what is Lindsay? The dumb blonde. Okay, we're gonna crank that up to 11, like to the point that she does the exact same thing that got her eliminated in Action.
So yeah, Lindsay gets eliminated because she does not know how to operate a baby carriage,
and she eliminates herself.
That too, I feel I was never big on Lindsay, but to know that this is the last time we see Lindsay and she goes out like this, it's just kind of fucking insulting.
Yeah, it is insulting. It'll be like if in Pokemon, if Ash went to the Unifor League and lost to a guy who didn't know a full battle was 6-on-6, and yet somehow still beat Ash. Oh wait, that happened, and it was fucking stupid.
I think that was airing at the time this was, so maybe there's.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
And
maybe the black and white writers were TV.
Yeah, and I can't drop the F-bomb because we're about 25 minutes into the video.
Yeah, but anyways, on to episode 2, Evil Dread. Don't know why there's an Evil Dead reference here, but hey, there's an Evil Dead reference. We see the villains hanging out in the Spa Hotel having breakfast. We see Scott getting accustomed to the fancy life, and we see we see lighting on Boney Island because now, during the team phase, one member of the winning team must be sent to exile on Boney Island to try for an entire night. On Boney Island, there's another McLean invincibility statue. So if you find it, you'll be safe for a vote.
Yeah, and in this episode, which we'll get into once it happens, but this is where the season legitimately does jump the shark, and it's insulting to people who have this condition. You'll know it when we get to it, but before then, we have Sierra creepily taking pictures of sleeping contestants to update her blogs.
Yeah.
We also have Lightning eating a fish in one bite, which, okay. Lightning, you are one of the only redeeming factors about this season.
Yeah. Lightning fans, consider yourselves lucky. You eat good this season, aka not awful, aka your boy isn't completely derailed into oblivion.
Yeah, but this is where we get into one of the more egregious things about this season: Joe and Heather. Joe
Yeah.
and Heather.
They
So,
spent the entire episode bickering.
oh no! They don't spend the entire episode bickering. They spend the entire season bickering. Well, what? As much as they are in this season, but yeah. Heather did bicker before, but she didn't do it this much. She was subtle in how she played the game. And Joe was like more like a military sergeant than anything, but and she knew how to like whip them into shape. Like with Cameron, like she was someone who was like, yeah, you can say your point, but I'm not going to listen to you, and you're going to follow my way or the highway.
Yeah. Speaking of Black Salty, Alejandro.
Yeah. Alejandro trying to still at it with him, and Gwen almost falling for it. And I was like, Gwen, don't fall for Alejandro. You know what he's like.
But
So
the happens this episode is Scott accidentally hits Mike upside the head with a shovel, causing Mike to come back to front, and Manitoba to go to, I guess, return to the subconscious. Not really sure of the vernacular, and this causes the malevolent one to awaken. Ooh, so scared.
Yeah, so scared, and basically an insult to people who have multiple personality disorders. Yeah, where the main villain of this season isn't Heather, isn't Joe, isn't Lightning, it isn't even Scott. It is a evil personality of Mike, who's called Mal, or as I like to call him, my anime list. Yeah, and this is like one of, I think this is the biggest problem with the season. It's just Mal. Mal, what is even the point of him?
I guess to be I don't know.
Like we go from sneaky manipulative conniving schemer in Heather to a drill sergeant with Joe to a obvious, yeah, I'm manipulating you guys, but I'm so good looking about it that you're gonna fall for it anyway in Alejandro, to a drill sergeant with Joe, to a more comedic version of Alejandro, to basically Ichigo's Inner Hollow from Bleach, because that is essentially what Mal is. He is Ichigo's Inner Hollow from Bleach, and this is meant to be reality TV, everyone.
I mean, it doesn't help that like the whole like good alter, evil alter thing is like a really bad stereotype for folks with DID.
Yeah.
But like Mal is a villain. Dude's just like dude is cheese incarnate.
Yeah.
I think we're jumping the shark a bit.
Pardon?
I do feel we're jumping the gun a bit, so maybe we can refocus back to this episode.
Okay, yeah.
You see, after Mike gets hit in the head, he can't access the other altars. As he tries to bring Manitoba back to front, though Manitoba is not coming.
Mm-hmm.
But the heroes win the challenge. Sam goes to exile. Lightning gets booted because he doesn't know how to count.
Yeah, and also as well, they spend way too much time because the sort of callback for this episode for the challenge is basically they've got to build items, but they're items based on locations like they went to in World Tour. So for the heroes, it was the Statue of Liberty. For the villains, it was Big Ben, and the villains did not know that there is meant to be a clock in Big Ben. Which is why Finland's lose this challenge, because, yeah, Lightning can't count and couldn't realise, like, oh, this obvious clock-like circle here? Yeah, nothing goes there.
Gee, wonder what could go there. Maybe, I don't know, a pizza. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyways, on to episode 3, Saving Private Leech Ball. Which involves a callback to the War Movie Challenge in Season 2, which I call a stretch. It seems more like the Paintball Deer Hunt in Season 1 to me.
Yeah, it does so. Yeah, and the weapons they use for this challenge are basically slingshots versus Nerf guns. Except they're Nerf guns with leeches.
Yep, because apparently, like, Chris can't be around paintballs, so leeches is a better alternative.
Which I don't understand. And also as well, Gwen is very like I'm trying to figure out the word here. But essentially, Heather and Joe are still bickering in this episode, and Gwen is calling them out for this, and she's getting chastised for it.
Well, she didn't really get called out for it. It's more like this. She's like self-conscious of how she presents herself because she's being typecast as a villain.
Yeah, which, by the way, Gwen, you were never this self-conscious about this kind of stuff.
Because nobody brought attention to it?
Yeah. But now they're bringing attention to, like, even if Gwen was, even if this was brought to attention before, I don't think Gwen would care as much as she's being portrayed to be caring about it at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't help that you have Courtney and Chris constantly in your ear being talking about how evil you are.
Yeah. And also as well,
internet.
Yeah, and also as well, this is where we get into Sierra's big problem with this season. Because Cody is not here, she starts hallucinating that Cameron is Cody. And let me repeat this. She starts hallucinating that Cameron is Cody, despite the fact that when Gwen and Duncan basically cheated Courtney out of the relationship, what did she do?
Get on Gwen.
Yeah. So, Sierra, where's the hypocrite card? Because we need to stick it on your face.
Well, if she's hallucinating, then she doesn't know it's Cameron, which... Plus, Sierra and Cody aren't even together.
But that's the thing. It's been a year since between seasons. This is what I imagine happened. This is what I imagine happened between World Tour and this season with Sierra and Cody. Sierra basically forced Cody to marry her for real. So he's basically in a shotgun wedding.
Pretty sure that's illegal.
It's with it, yeah. But it's total drama. So Chris could have been like paid them off or something because Sierra wouldn't shut up about it to him.
Well, but yeah, that honestly, like people who hate Sierra, like even Sierra, I'm pretty sure even Sierra fans hate how Sierra is an All Stars.
Yeah, and there's also some, and I've just got to say it, Tyler, quickly, because since we're on the topic of Sierra, there's someone who's been commenting on the Sturmid and Noved, who's been commenting on the videos on the Control Chaos when I've put these on the Control Chaos channel, and they apparently like Sierra, and I just want to ask them, I legitimately just want to ask them why. Why do you like Sierra? I am legitimately curious. Like, how can anyone like Sierra? Especially in this season when it's only just Cody, I miss Cody, I wish Cody was here. Like, if you're a Sierra fan, tell me, please. I really want to know.
I mean, to be fair, she does have some funny moments, even when they do pertain to Cody.
It's just.
Come on, Luke.
Okay.
I think you're being a little overdramatic.
Maybe a tad bit, but you can understand my pain, Tyler, with this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So anyway, Sierra starts hallucinating that Cameron is Cody. And I feel your pain, Cameron. I feel your pain, because this is where Cameron starts to realize, like, oh, this chick is really crazy.
We also now have Heather and Joe fight, both trying to manipulate Gwen, and then Alejandro also joins in and trying to manipulate Gwen. And I'm like, I suppose they're probably just doing it for numbers, because at the end of the day, this is like reality, like last person standing reality shows like Total Drama are numbers games.
Yeah.
And their whole thing is like where Gwen goes, Duncan follows, and they control half the votes. But
go ahead.
Why Gwen? Like that's my. Oh well, yeah, Gwen and Duncan.
Okay, now there is something nice about this episode and the last episode, which I like. I can't believe I'm saying this, but because Sam is basically the human punching bag in this season, he basically didn't participate in the last challenge, so he was like, you know what? I didn't participate, so I should be the one to go to Boney Island. And he comes back, he's exhausted, so everyone, minus Courtney, brings him breakfast.
Yeah, that is sweet. And like, I feel another problem with the hamsters is that they are overly sweet. Like,
yeah, which is why
too nice. But,
which is why I think I'm just going to say it, and I think you would agree with this. This season should not have had teams. It should have just been a free-for-all season.
That's an interesting idea.
Where it's like, okay, so like with the team, with the puzzle building challenge, you guys can either work by yourself or team up with as many people as you feel like teaming up with.
I think another. I'm trying to put words together. Another. I cannot put words together.
This is what the season does to people. They can't put words together. So
we also start
go
seeing
ahead.
like the sport. We also see like Mike being worried the fact that he can't like summon his other alters, or like, and but and like he sometimes like spaces out when it's really Mal taking over temporarily.
Yeah, which it takes Mike way too long to figure out what is going on. He should know right away, like there is another personality coming out. Which leads into the biggest problem with the whole Mal storyline is that, and this is going to come into play more so in episode 5, where nobody can figure out what is going on with Mike. Not even Cameron and Zoe.
Yeah, that is a massive problem.
Yeah,
but we see fuck, I can't put words together. We see more of Duncan being more concerned about how people view him, or like whether or not Courtney's like glaring at him, like how she's glaring at Gwen. And like, dude, why are you so concerned about your ex? You should be concerned about your girlfriend who is being harassed by your ex.
Yeah, Duncan, just
Duncan's
grow
a
a
bad
pair.
boyfriend.
Grow a pair, Duncan. Yeah, he is a bad boyfriend. So yeah, this this the ending of this episode has basically the heroic hamsters winning it because Zoe is able to hit Joe and win it for the team, but also as well, Cameron reveals to everyone that someone broke Sam's game guy, not Game Boy, game guy in the middle of the night. Which Mike does.
It was Mal.
Yeah, and Mike doesn't do a very good job of hiding it, but yet, this is what we like to call piss. Plot-induced stupidity. Season. There we go. That's the other S.
So Cameron goes to exile on Boney Island to make some distance between himself and Sierra, and hopefully that gives her some time to check her mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And Cameron's confessional basically says, I saw season 3. I know what Cody went through with Sierra, and no way do I want to be Cody number 2. She's nice, but I'm not always great with being touched. And really, Cameron should have just basically said right away, like, I don't like being touched. Go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in this episode, Joe is the one to get eliminated, which means we finally get rid of the Joe and Heather bickering. Thank God it didn't last the whole season.
But in addition to all that, we also get a reshuffling of the teams. Because Heather used Sam as a human shield from Joe, she gets swapped over to the villains team. And because Duncan took a leech to the ass for Gwen, he gets swapped over to the heroes team.
Mm-hmm.
So now Duncan's a hero, Courtney's a villain, and I am disinterested.
Yeah, and again, why wasn't Courtney a villain to begin with? She was the main antagonist of the second half of action, for God's sake.
Because that would have put Alejandro on the heroes team.
Yeah, but no, you could have put Gwen on the heroes team then. But no, they have to listen to Courtney because being a boyfriend stealer is way more egregious than using the power of blackmail to basically cheat your way to the top.
I mean, to be fair, this is Chris we're talking about, and this is this version of Chris would do.
Yeah, fair enough. It would be. So yeah, moving on to episode 3.
Yep. I mean, episode 4.
Episode 4. Sorry.
Food fright.
Yeah.
We get Courtney being introduced to Team Villain with a gruel bomb and being placed in both sides of the loser cabin, and Scott coming over to eat it all up. And this is also where the plot line of Scott x Courtney begins.
Which, I'm so disinterested about this season that I can't even get excited. I can't even get excited when there's like legitimate interactions between the two generations, because a lot of the time the generations stick mostly to each other rather than having more mingling between the groups.
I mean,
so
there was
go ahead.
Heather and Joe, but
yeah,
Heather and Joe,
but that's few and far between. So in this episode, we also have Duncan being introduced to Team Heroes, and rather than just going along with the fun with it, he has to be a killjoy about it.
Yeah, he's like, ugh, I am not a hero. They're probably just trying to get on my good side, and then they'll boo me off once I'm all nice and buttered up.
It's like,
I will say, what he said about the cake was funny. It's like, yeah, I ate the cake. I was like, you're the happiest day of my life.
Fair enough. But Duncan, you're slowly turning into a Patrick. You're not there yet, but you're getting there.
And then we also see Gwen lamenting over the fact that she's tried numerous times to try to make things right with Courtney, and the fact that she hates her more now than ever is really dampening her spirits. Courtney listens in on the confessional and is shocked that Gwen was trying to patch things up.
You know what? If Gwen was not so keen about patching things up with Courtney, it wouldn't have turned into what it turns into, which is, again, one of the more infuriating things about this season, which we'll get into. But for now, we also have the question of, what did the bear sip down? Because you see a bear literally sipping down something to have a piss, and it's just like, is it wearing trousers under that fur?
Maybe, because the context for that scene is that we get Cameron back from exile, and apparently he disguised himself to avoid and he the context how he survived on Boney Island is that he took up nature survival skills in between seasons, and he disguised himself as a fire hydrant.
Which, okay, fair enough. You get a point there, Season. 1 point.
And now it smells like bear piss.
Yeah. So, anyway, the context of this challenge is basically it's a pancake challenge over the killer obstacle course with the bouncing butts, the rolling pen, and the grape crusher.
All topped off by spinning right round with the salad spinner.
Yep. And the only other note I had for this episode, which was related to the challenge, who puts dynamite in the pancakes?
Chris.
Yeah, which again, this pretty much makes me think that all of this is happening. This entire season is all happening in Chris's head.
We also see stuff like rats, raccoons, mouse traps, fish eyes, green jelly, all sorts of bullshit in those pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
A beehive, fire ants.
Yeah. Oh, and also Sierra's phone got destroyed, so now she's panicking, and it was obvious that it was Mike as his evil personality. But one thing I have to say about Sierra as well is that she's not a human. She is literally she's literally a dog disguised as a human, because of the fact that she sleeps on the bed like a dog, and later on in the series she's panting like she is a dog in human form.
But even then, a dog could probably tell like their owner from a stranger.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Another try trying to think. One thing I did find funny in this season, well, at least in this episode, was the fact that Scott loaded up on the gruel so much, and the pancake not helping, he nearly breaks the rolling pins. And Chris is like, "You break it, you buy it, Scott."
Yeah, fair enough. But also as well, looking back, so Scott starts flirting with Courtney, and Heather is disgusted by it. Like, why would Heather even care?
Because Scott's a dirty farmer.
Guess, but still, but say it has nothing to do with Heather, so why would she even care about it? And in this episode, Duncan starts to notice something familiar about Mike, which I have to question, like, because it's eventually revealed that Mal was in juvie with Duncan. Just get ahead of it, but I like to question, like, did Mike? How does Duncan not recognize Mike as being the same person as Mal right off the bat?
I mean, they probably met like years ago, and Duncan made it clear that like he steered clear of Mal. Secondly, one can change in like a long period of time.
Yeah, I guess.
Plus the change in hair and eyes. Well, eyes kind of for Mal, because Mal's eyes just become a little beadier.
Yeah, it's not really that much of a change, but fair enough. I can understand why. I can understand your points there, but it's still kind of a bit like, really, Duncan, you can't really recognize him, but whatever. So at the end of this episode, the voters are declared the winners because they lose on a technicality, because Sam didn't finish all the pancakes. He smuggled some away.
Yeah, in case he had to go to Boney Island again. Which, like, why would they make him go to Boney Island again after he suffered the first time?
I don't know. And speaking of Boney Island, Scott volunteers to go to Boney Island to get the invincibility statue.
And Sam gets home because he cost the hamsters the challenge.
Yeah, which hey, at least Sam has someone to go back to, Dakota. Which, okay, I'll give Sierra this 1 point. Sierra, you get 1 point for this, because I imagine that Sierra helped Dakota to become accepted at least within the community of the Total Drama franchise outside of Total Drama. I can imagine Sierra doing doing something like that for Dakota, which is why at the beginning of the season you see like Sam and Dakota. It's confirmed that they're still together a year on from Revenge of the Island.
Yeah, that is nice.
So I can imagine Sierra would have played a big part in that, of making Dakota feel accepted by the community, and basically because Sierra is the ultimate Totron fan girl. So I imagine she has great influence over the community, over the world. So it probably would have. It's probably not out of the realms of far-fetchery that she didn't help Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sierra, you get 1 point. You get 1 point for that, if that is true.
Okay. But anyways, on to episode 5, Moon Madness. Ooh. But basically this episode, I guess it's supposed to be a reference to the scavenger hunt at the nighttime scavenger hunt in season 4, but this time it's a race to get from one end of the island to the other end of the island.
Which
at night.
Now that I think about it, these challenges aren't really that creative if you really think about it.
Yeah, having them be homages is a good idea, but these are like nigh 1-to-1 facelifts.
Yeah, it's like okay. So you remember how challenging the last one was with the eating the pancakes and then going through the obstacle course? This challenge is just basically point A to point B.
Yeah, it's another point A to point B challenge.
Yeah. But this is where we get the downfall of Zoe's character. So Zoe and Cameron's as well. Cameron is not out of the woods, but we'll talk about that at the end of the episodes. So yeah, with this challenge, Mal uses the fact that it is a full moon to disguise the fact that it's a werewolf. He's basically being like a werewolf here. And okay, to be fair, Heather is quite intelligent in this episode, but at the same time, so she uses this as like a disguise to think like, oh, the full moon is making me turn into nice Heather, which I've got to say,
it's not the. Small correction. It's a blue harvest moon, not a full moon.
Oh, blue harvest moon, but it's the same concept as like the full moon, where Heather changes personalities from mean Heather to nice Heather, which I've got to say, I find like everyone else, nice Heather to be like way creepier than mean Heather.
Yeah. It's also what like puts my Mike on the back burner for a bit, and what allows Mal to front for a bit. And then he disguises himself as Mike. We also see it having an effect on the fauna of Wawanakwa, as the bears and gators turn nice and cuddly, while the bunnies, the birds, and the beavers turn evil.
Yep.
Which does make a funny moment with Scott, where he's like, I'm not going to be taken down by a gang of bunnies. It's like, help, I'm being taken down by a gang of bunnies!
Okay, I'll give it. That was pretty funny. But you know what would have made this episode even funnier? Now that I think about it, this was a complete missed opportunity. Missed opportunity here with this episode. Fang. Because we could have got nice Fang here and have him be basically just like Scott's pappy and just be like, oh, you want to tell me a bedtime story? Okay. That would have been they had a golden opportunity there to do something better with Fang, and they just didn't do anything with it.
Honestly, that probably would have been the best thing they could have done with Fang.
Yeah, and again, it would have given more of a reason for Fang to be here, because, like I said, Fang got his own back on Scott. He got his tooth back. Like, again, is the shark just that petty that he won't be satisfied until he's had I mean, he's had a good chunk of Scott in him. Like, to the point that Scott was paralyzed, which somehow he's back to normal. I don't know how that works, but at the same time, he's had his revenge on Scott. What more does he want?
Basically, because Mal also broke Cameron's glasses, but Cameron and Zoe basically cannot tell that Mike is not in control.
Yeah, and I was saving this to this point because my notes are like, oh, for beep's sake, Zoe, figure it out about Mike. You're his girlfriend. You should be the first person to notice that there is something going on with him, and you can spot that something's going wrong with him, but you're not putting the pieces together. This is where Duncan turns into a Patrick, because we were watching this in your server, and one of the server members basically called Duncan Patrick at this point. So what I made that the running gag, like, yeah, Duncan's a Patrick now. But the most egregious example of the whole Mel storyline is that at the end of the episode, Cameron sees Mike transform into Mel right in front of him and does not pick up on this fact.
Yeah. But speaking of Duncan, well, the reason why we call Duncan Patrick is now he's asking Gwen if Courtney said anything about him. Again, it's like, Duncan, why are you so concerned with your ex? You broke up with her for a reason.
The 32-page document.
Gwen breaks up with Duncan.
Yeah, thank God, Gwen, you have common sense. I can't believe I've said that in a season called Total Drama All-Stars. But yeah, and also as well, pray for Scott so that he doesn't have to have a 32-page document.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that is not. I think this is the whole Mel thing is stupid with Cameron and Zoe. The whole Duncan thing or Patrick thing is stupid with him being so concerned about Courtney. But it's not the most egregious character downfall. That belongs to episode 6.
Nobody and by the expect the Spanish opposition.
Oh, and by the way, yeah, no one gets eliminated in this episode.
Yeah, Scott goes exile. Cameron volunteers for the flush, but he goes to the villain side. Why does he go to the villain side? I don't know why. You ask too many questions.
It's Chris. It's Chris. He does everything. But there's also something else wrong with this season. So I'm looking at. So I'm on the wiki pages for the episodes, and so far, Chef Hatchet hasn't done anything except for when he got Chris out of jail. But he has had no dialogue. He has had no line. Barely any lines in this season.
Yep.
Yeah. So why is Chef even here?
Who knows at this point?
Who knows? Yeah. And let me see. Does he have any lines in episode? Yeah, no lines in this episode as well. So again, why? Why are you here, Chef? So anyway, yeah, this episode has basically something very disturbing about Chris, which I had to like pause the episode to like question my sanity in seeing this. So they're in the Fun Zone jungle where they're trying to steal eggs from all the mutants, and it is revealed that there is a mini Venus flytrap with Chris's face on. So I am there questioning, did Chris have sex with his Venus flytrap?
Yes, the implication is Chris had sex with the Venus flytrap. I'm just going to peel off that Band-Aid. You may now lose your mind.
Ah! I'm like,
well, also in this episode, well, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just like, how does that even work? How does the function? I can't believe I'm questioning this. Like the function of a Venus flytrap and a human. Like, how does that even work?
I don't even know. I don't even care. Let's just move on to the episode.
Yeah. So
Kara's on the villain team and bonds with Gwen, which is probably one of the most notable cases of like intergeneration mingling.
Again, why wasn't Courtney and Cameron a thing? I mean, not Courtney. I mean Gwen and Cameron.
I don't know. Well, we see Heather and Alejandro make a temporary agreement to try to hopefully last longer in the game, and we see them both plotting against each other, which gives the alert kind of like a little.
But they're not together. They're not together. They continue to deny that.
Well, at this point, it's kind of tumultuous because they talk about like, you didn't text me. I couldn't text you.
I was in the robot. And I think we should also address the fact that Alejandro has a new voice in this season.
Oh yeah. His previous VA was Marco Grazzini, I think his last name was. But his new VA is Alex House. I think he's fine. He does a decent Alejandro. My problem with it is just that it's a little too high pitched.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like Alejandro was always more of the smooth talking guy, and here it sounds more like I'm trying to think like it sounds more like a Luffy style voice from One Piece, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, actually, that's a good comparison. So you go from like a suave Sanji voice to a high-pitched Luffy voice. There we go. That's the best way I can describe the change.
Sounds like more in the range of like now that you mentioned Luffy, kind of in the range of a Naki Godoy.
Yeah.
Okay. The put for reference, like. Alejandro usually talked about here. Perhaps could be of assistance.
It's a pleasure and an honor and a must.
But now he's usually talking about up here, but he's always like more towards the high end, which could simply be Alex House's voice. But honestly, he doesn't. He honestly doesn't do a bad job. Like
no, he doesn't. He doesn't. But yeah, so where were we?
The fun zone.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Chris takes them to the fun zone, which looks strangely enough like the mutant forest from last season. Scott's back from exile, had the shit beat out of him, and is tired as all hell.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe still doesn't know what's going on with Mike. Patrick still continues to be overly concerned with his image. Alejandro and Heather plot against each other, with Heather convincing Scott, Courtney, Gwen, and Cameron to vote out Alejandro the next time they lose. And then Heather finds the invincibility statue with Alejandro and eyesight of her, and then she hides the invincibility statue in some rocks.
Heather, you are not this stupid. You're the subject of piss. Plot-induced stupidity season. Because does this sound like something the Heather from Island to World Tour would do? Be like, oh, I've got this invincibility statue that gets me to the next round. Yeah, I'll just leave it out in the open for someone else to find. Does that sound like the Heather we know?
And not to mention with Alejandro so close nearby.
Yeah. So, is it any wonder why Heather's the...
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
almost forgot. She also tells Alejandro she found the invincibility statue.
Yes. Why? It's
Anyways.
like, okay, Heather has gone from a character that I love to hate to a character that's just been like, oh my god, to a character that's just like, yes, cause Chris pain, to a character that's just like, Heather, what happened to you? So how do we go from Heather's best episode and arguably the best episode of the Total Drama franchise to this?
I don't even know.
Like,
but,
you remember,
Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, you remember in the Professionally Island episode where I was so excited about episode 10, which was essentially Heather's episode, Heather's Revenge on Chris episode. You remember how so excited I was about that episode?
Yeah, you were ecstatic, and so was I.
And now we go to this. It's like, it's just a big F you to Heather's character. It is the biggest F you to Heather's character.
Yeah, but the heroes win the challenge, and when they're about to leave the fun zone, Heather goes back to reclaim her invincibility statue to find it's gone missing. And she thinks Chris did it.
Why? Why would Chris do it? Like, what does he gain from it?
Yeah, Chris has nothing to gain from this. But
like, this is not Heather. Like, this is not Heather. This is Tessa. There we go. This is Tessa.
Okay, but Alejandro gets the majority of the votes. He reveals he stole the invincibility statue from Heather. And then Alejandro voted for Heather. Heather gets eliminated. Heather's a dumbass.
Yes, Heather's a dumbass, which makes it all the more appropriate when she ends up in Bridget's position in World Tour. She ended up stuck to a pole.
She got stuck, should have died for some luck. Stuck to a pole. Whoa.
Yeah. She fell for every little thing that he said. Ooh, said.
Yeah.
Remember that song? Good times. Better than these.
Good time. Speaking of times that are worse than these, episode 7, Sucker's Punch. Based on season 1's Phobia Factor and No Pain, No Gain challenge.
Which Chris and... Oh, go ahead.
What the challenge consists of is each contestant needing to face their biggest fears in a boxing match, 1v1. For each fight one, the team scores a point, first to 3, blah blah blah. But Chris and Chef are rigging the challenges to ensure everybody faces their own fears, because first you got to spin a wheel, because otherwise, Scott could be fighting Gwen's biggest fear, or Cameron could get Alejandro's. But they're basically ensuring that they face their own biggest fears, which just begs the question, what's the point of spinning a wheel to determine your opponent?
Yeah, what is it? But let's remember who it is. It's Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Scott is the first one up, so naturally his opponent is a jellyfish. Nah, I'm kidding, it's Fang.
And Fang gollywops him.
Yeah, and again, this I think is the only reason why Fang, because this is Fang's first appearance since his little cameo in episode 1. 7 episodes in. Can you understand why I don't understand why Fang is even here anymore?
Yeah, I get that. But moving Oh yeah, forgot to mention. While in the fun zone, Sierra had a mutant egg that hatched into two, I guess, conjoined rats, a
Yeah.
la cat dog style.
Which she names Cody 1 and Cody 2.
Because of course she does. And now she has to fight their mom.
And this is and finally in this episode, she's like, "Hey, Cameron, yeah, we're breaking up." And Cameron's just like, I wasn't even with you to begin with, but okay.
And then she loses the match against Cody Jr.'s mom. Cody Jr.'s mom takes back her kid, and Sierra gets back together with Cameron.
Yeah. I don't get you, Sierra. I honestly don't get you. But also, this is where one of Alejandro's plot points is comes full circle. His fear about being called Al, which is what we're going to call him for the rest of the season. So Al has to go up against his brother Jose.
And honestly, this is probably one of the best scenes of the season. I'd argue the best scene of the season.
It is the best scene of the season because it's just these two egotistical brothers going at each other and being like, "This is for everything you've put me through. This is for all of this. This is for all of that." But they have a code of honor: never ever hit a family member in the face. The face is The face is too gorgeous that it can never be touched. It's like Aizen's hair. You can never fully seal Aizen's hair in Bleach. You can never touch the face. You can never hurt the face of Al and Jose. It is simply too marvelous.
We also with that, Alejandro beats the crap out of his brother Jose, and earns a point for the villains. Mike is next up to bat, and instead of getting his personal fear, he gets Cameron's worst fear of fighting Izzy in a spider costume.
Yeah, which I really wish I'd put Izzy on this list of characters because Izzy, come back and save this season. You needed to be here. We need more Izzy. Give me more Izzy.
And for some reason, Izzy can see through Mal.
Which thank God, because Izzy is the only because Izzy has a similar thing going on with Mike. Thank God she's the one who actually sees through it. This is why Izzy should have been here. I guarantee, if Izzy was in this season and the same plot points played out, she would have easily just gone up to Zoe and Cameron and be like, "Hey, you do realize that there's a different person, that there's an evil personality come out of Mike."
But then we see we then see Mal beat the shit out of Izzy, and then he scores a point for the villains. Next up is Cameron for the villains, as he goes up against a bunch of mutant gophers. Cameron loses. Then Duncan's up as he fights a tiny bird. Duncan loses because he doesn't want to punch a tiny bird.
Duncan seems really like annoyed by that, but again, Duncan, it's okay sometimes to be like, "Hey, I have standards here. I'm not gonna hit a tiny little bird."
Yeah, and like people make fun of him because he didn't want to punch a tiny bird. Like, it's a
Like
bird.
even Gwen and Courtney, like Courtney, I could understand, but Gwen.
Yeah, like what?
It's like what have they done to her? What have they done to Gwen?
But anyways, speaking of Gwen, she's next up, and her opponent is Courtney.
And they don't want to fight each other because this is the episode where they finally become friends again and turn into the worst renditions of their characters ever.
Until Courtney sees one of Sierra's Glunkin blogs. So hey, if you want, you can blame Sierra.
Yeah, I'll blame Sierra because I enjoy blaming Sierra for things.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Thankfully, Courtney and Gwen patch things up by the end of their fight, and they each score a point for their team. 3-2. Villains win. Sierra goes home. Alejandro gets exiled, and Luke is somewhat happier.
And So, to all you Sierra fans out there, I don't care. I'm doing this. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows everywhere. It's so magical. I don't know the words that's on, but basically, celebrate good times. Come on, F you, Sierra.
I'm pretty sure a majority of Sierra fans, at least that I've interacted with, have said they don't like Sierra and All Stars.
And considering I don't like, considering Sierra is my least favorite, so it goes Chris, then Sierra, then Stacy, and it's like, how bad do you have to be of a character to be below Stacy, but not below Chris? That's right. That you have to be Sierra levels.
Yeah. But moving on, we have You Gotta Be Kidding Me, where the teams merge, and we're having a boat race.
Yay! Well, hey, who doesn't like a good boat race? And yet somehow they even make this, infuriating, because we start off this episode with Courtney and Gwen talking as friends once more, but they've turned basic. Okay, so did people like Katie and Sadie in season 1?
No.
If you didn't, congratulations! You get to witness KD 1 and KD 2, because that is basically what Courtney and Gwen turn into. They turn into an amalgamation of Katie and Sadie from season 1, and nobody wants to see that, especially between Courtney and Gwen.
I mean, I speak for most people when I say that we're happy that they're on good terms, but like,
they're too happy. They are too goody-good with each other.
Like, especially for Gwen, like she has always been like against the preppy girl shit. Like,
yeah, and what does she do in this episode? Talk about her hair. Like, when did Gwen care about her hair?
I mean, unless it's like the dye she's using is like fading out.
Yeah, but at the same time, when did Gwen ever care about they make such a big deal about not getting their hair wet, but here's the thing, you guys have been on an island for 3 freaking seasons! And in an aeroplane which just dropped into the sea, why would you even bloody care about getting wet?
But
I'm sorry, Tyler.
No worries. So for the boat race, we have Mal going off on his own, Alejandro going off on his own, Gwen and Courtney going together, and then the remaining four of Zoe, Cameron, Scott, and Duncan all going on a raft. And uh, um, we see Mike venturing through his own subconscious and finds Chester selling skateboards. Why Chester is selling skateboards, I don't know why.
I guess because he wants to get back in his youth again.
Maybe.
But also in this episode, another line that infuriated me from Gwen is, Mike, he's not a threat. And Gwen, how many seasons have you been a part of? You should know by now that the underdog is always going to be a threat in this season. Like, what the hell, Gwen? What the actual hell? Like, who expected Owen to win Total Drama Island?
Yes.
Well, okay, but okay, go back in time. Go back in time to when you first watched Total Drama Island, Tyler. Did you honestly expect? I know you would have wanted Owen to win, but realistically, did you expect him to win?
No.
There we go. That's what I'm saying. So, like Owen was the underdog in Ireland. Harold and Beth were the underdogs in Action. Okay, the underdog status didn't kind of work for All Stars because it was like, but at the same time, Heather was kind of an underdog because of the fact that Alejandra was a bigger threat than her, but nobody believed her. So she kind of had to go into that underdog status. And then we get to Cameron. Cameron, honestly, was probably the biggest surprise win for me.
Yeah, I'll say.
So, like, that's my point. Gwen saying Mike is not a threat when she's been part of this franchise for she's one of the main stars of Total Drama. She should know how big of a threat the underdog is gonna be.
But
I think I've lost.
Of you, I'm right here.
Oh, sorry. I thought I lost you for a second.
Okay, but we see Cameron have the idea of using Scott as bait for Fang, and for Fang is to act as the motor for the raft. Which, hey, I honestly like that. I thought was funny.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give the episode that was kind of funny, and it was kind of funny that Cameron was thinking like, okay, this will help Scott be a hero, but Duncan took it to be like, oh, this was very villainous of you.
Yeah. Then we have Zoe and Cameron talking about like, hey, how can we make sure Mike is Mike and not some alter? And Cameron's like, Mike snaps himself back into reality when you're in danger. So then Zoe puts herself in danger in front of a bunch of piranhas.
Which could have gone so... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, which could have gone so badly wrong very quickly.
Yeah. Even though Mike does come back temporarily, Mal does ultimately keep his spot in the driver's seat. And only saves Zoe because it would look suspicious.
Yeah. So...
good?
Yeah, so... At the end of the race, it is who was it that won?
Alejandro.
Yeah, Alejandro eventually does win the race, and also as well, we have Scott's because Scott eventually tosses Cameron overboard, but Frank doesn't eat him, and Scott's like, "Hey, I guess he wanted a meal, not a snack." And for some reason, this makes Chris laugh his ass off, and I'm like, "It wasn't even that funny."
Even Scott agree with him.
Yeah,
And another thing that happens is that Duncan decides to blow up Chris's private quarters.
which you would think that because Chris's private quarters getting blown up, normally I'm like, oh yes, feel the pain, Chris, feel the pain. I felt nothing because of just how mind-boggling stupid this season is. It's so bad that I can't even get excited when Chris is in pain. And and for a season to do that, I've got to admit, that is an accomplishment for a season so bad that I can't even get excited when a moment that I'm always looking forward to happens.
And then Duncan gets arrested, going to proper prison.
Why? Because he caused collateral damage, which if you're really thinking about, like, okay, let's be real. How long would Duncan be in prison for? Collateral damage, prison time.
Or I guess this would be like destruction of private property, or
Okay. Criminal damage. Prison sentence. So it's an either way offense. Oh crap! Over here, he would get a maximum sentence of 10 years imprisonment.
huh?
So, but either way. Okay, so fair enough. Donkey gets arrested, but Chris. But how is Chris not getting arrested alongside him for basically endangering the lives of these kids?
He probably paid off the authorities.
Yeah, but still, Chris, you deserve like about probably 1,000 years in prison.
So a vote still happens, and it turns out to be unanimous. It seemed that all votes were for Cameron, but since Duncan was arrested, Cameron's safe. But it turns out Mal rigged the votes.
Yeah, which, you know what? Just do whatever you want, Mal. At this point.
But moving on, we have the 100th episode of Total Drama. Zeke and Ye Shall Find.
Yeah. They try to make it a big deal, but again, because it's in All Stars, it's not exciting at all.
Yeah. So basically, there was this big 100th episode challenge planned. Well, actually, before that, Mal schemes to place to frame Alejandro for tampering with the votes, but Alejandro finds a DVD in the spa hotel of Mal's greatest hits, completely exposing Mal to Alejandro and getting ready to. And he sabotages his sabotage. This puts Cameron on edge, as he thinks he can't trust anybody. And then Mal pretends that all the former members of the villains team were like talking smack about Cam, even though only Alejandro is in the spa hotel, and he was shouting into the spa hotel, which is like weird.
Mm. And also in this episode, it's where Courtney and Scott get together. Let's see how long this lasts. Because the okay, so Scott is very awkward naturally, because I think this is the first time he's ever had a girlfriend, and his father, his father's only advice to get about dating is, if you're ever okay, this does not make any sense. And someone please answer this for me. If you're ever in Holland, go Dutch. How does that relate to dating?
Yeah, I'm not even sure myself. But so basically, Chris was about to announce the 100th challenge with a video in the spa hotel, and then he gets kidnapped by Ezekiel. So the new challenge is to find Chris. Winner of this challenge. Go ahead.
Which, hey, let's all lose the challenge on purpose and let Chris suffer, which is the more logical thing they would be doing, because after everything Chris has put them through, they would be like, why?
And then Chef is like, no Chris equals no show equals no million for anybody.
Well, I think the world will be better, Chef. I think the world, even you have to admit deep down that the world would be better cross if Chris McClane wasn't in it.
And then the stipulations for whoever finds Chris and brings him back alive will have immunity in the vote, permanent residence in the spa hotel for as long as they're in the game, and they can send one person to Boney Island for the night.
Yeah.
So we have Scott and Courtney teaming up, Alejandro going by himself, Gwen going with Zoe, and Cameron going with Mike. Well, Mal.
With Mal. And again, this is where Cameron's stupidity meter goes to insane heights, because he legitimately falls from Mal's scheme in this episode.
Yeah. So Mal concocts a plan to bring Scott, of all people, over to their side. Which, let's put it like this. Zoe and Gwen are decent friends. Zoe's on your side. Zoe convinces Gwen. Gwen can convince Courtney. Boom. 5 votes. You are super majority, and you don't need to worry about shit.
Yeah. But no, they have to go through this whole elaborate plan because again, like we said, plot induced stupidity season. It's like, at this point, it's like the characters are just being dumbed down for the sake of the plot of this season.
Yeah. But
also as well, we also have in this episode the introduction of the intern Anthony, who's the best character in this episode.
Yep, gotta love Anthony.
Yeah.
And so, we also had other interns. There was one intern with like a ponytail. Her name is Lucy, as we're calling her, and the guy with baggy hair, he's Trevor.
Yeah. And Lucy was one of the interns in the last season who basically could have saved Chris from the sewage, but chose not to.
Good times.
Good times. Better than these. So it's revealed in this. It's revealed what happened to Chris is that he's dangling over a pool of toxic waste by Ezekiel, and Chris has no idea why Ezekiel is doing this, despite I don't know, turning him into basically Gollum.
Well, facilitating the environment for that to happen, but still, let's
still turning him into Gollum. No, it wasn't even the environment because he did it on the plane as well. Because Ezekiel turned into Gollum on the plane.
Yeah, fostering an environment, a place where.
Yeah. And again, why? And again, I know this has never been brought up, and it's probably never going to be brought up. But again, where's Ezekiel's family? What does Ezekiel's family? Because they're bound to be watching it in the universe. Like, where are they?
I'm not even sure.
Like, I'm surprised nobody has ever brought this up about Ezekiel's characters. Like, what does his family feel about his transformation into a mutant?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how with Dakota, at least we get like some sort of clue. Like, I imagine her parents were accepting of her, even as a mutant.
Mm-hmm. But we see Zoe helping out Gwen with her claustrophobia and fear of buried alive. Alejandro is pretty inoffensive, as we see Cameron almost about to fall down a hole, to which Alejandro offers a hand. Cameron's like, "No, I don't want your help."
Why?
Because he only trusts Mike and Zoe.
Oh, you only trust Mike and Zoe. Okay, Zoe, yeah, but Mike, when it's like, Cameron, you should know by now that this is not Mike.
Yeah. But Alejandro eventually gets nabbed by Zeke, and so does Zoe, which does give us a funny confessional of Gwen freaking out. And then it's followed up by Chef seeing that Chris has been kidnapped and being held hostage by Zeke, which causes him to also freak out in the confessional, which I think is funny.
Okay, I'll admit this episode has a good highlight for Chef, which has been sorely missing all season, because this is probably like one of the only like season 5 episodes, and we're calling this season 5, and we're probably going to call Pacateo season 6, even though it's technically season 5 part 2. But anyway, yeah. The fact that Chef panics so badly that he eats all the mint chocolate ice cream. Okay, that is pretty funny.
Even though mint chocolate chip ice cream sucks.
I agree. Fine. Tyler, we can disagree on beans on toast, but we can at least agree on mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Okay, thank goodness. But Scott and Courtney's relationship lasts 2 hours because Mal pushes Cameron into Courtney, which causes them to kiss by accident. Scott gets angry until Cameron's like, "Whoa, why did you kiss me?" And he's like, "Huh? You kissed him?"
And he doesn't even give her. Yeah, and Courtney doesn't even get a chance to explain, like, "Hey, he was pushed into me."
Yeah, but then they bicker like an old married couple. Cameron gets injured by a bunch of falling rocks. Gwen wins the challenge, rescues Chris. She gets permanent residence in the spa hotel. Alejandro.
Okay, I've got a question. Like, I don't care what's at stake here. I don't think Gwen would have saved Chris. If we're being honest, if we're being logical about this, Gwen wouldn't have saved Chris because of what he did to her in season 4.
I mean, to be fair, she wasn't doing it for Chris. She was doing it for Cameron.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Because Zeke can apparently spit acid now.
Well,
and that's what caused Cameron to get injured by a bunch of falling rocks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But in any other situation, Chris would have been dead. Chris would have been dead.
Probably. But Gwen wins. She gets the spa hotel. And Alejandro goes to exile. And Cameron is too injured to continue, making him the first, I guess, kind of medical evac.
Well, technically not. Well, technically not, because Izzy and Walter was the medical evac as well.
Well, she was. It was more so she was taken away by the government, though.
Yeah, but I imagine, like, even if she wouldn't, like, she had a plane fall on her. Her and Owen.
Fair enough. Yeah. I guess if you wanted to stretch, you can say Izzy was the first medevac in total drama history. I'm still saying it's Cameron.
Fair enough. I mean, like, in terms of, like, the original location, yes.
But anyways, Cam gets the flush. End of episode 100. Moving on to the next episode, the Obstacle Course. Which starts out with Courtney and Zoe and Courtney talking, and Zoe helping Courtney through the whole kissing Cameron thing. Scott's still sad, and Courtney basically forces the two of them to get back together.
Yeah. But again, this is not Courtney; it's KD2, in my opinion. But the real infuriating thing in this episode is, so remember how earlier in the series, we were groaning about Heather telling Alejandro where the immunity statue was. It seems like Alejandro has inherited Heather, not Heather. I can't even remember. No, I can't even remember what name I gave Heather for this season. But no, it seems like Al, not Alejandro, Al, inherited Heather's stupidity from that episode, because here, even though he knows about Mel, he knows what Mel is all about, he's like, I'm not going to expose Mel's plan right away. Okay, first of all, why wouldn't you, Alejandro? Why wouldn't you, Al? It's like, if he knows some information, he's gonna expose it like that. He's just gonna expose it right away. And also, the more egregious thing here is that, why is Al telling Mel his plan?
Yeah, why is Alejandro telling Mal? Why is Al telling Mal that he has incriminating evidence on him?
This is why I say this is not Alejandro. It's Al.
And then we learn the meaning of.
Yeah, because the Alejandro in Total Drama World Tour would not have done something this stupid.
And then we learn the meaning of Alejandro's last name, Budo Muerto, which, honestly, Alejandro lives up to that last name because he's acting like an ass.
Oh, absolutely. But again, Zoe, shut up. Just shut up. At least he didn't turn into that Mal character. Like, just shut up. Yeah. This is not Zoe from Revenge of the Iron. This is Noe.
Because she makes us say no.
Or shutty, because she makes us say just shut up.
But anyways, in Mike's subconscious, we see Svetlana sculpting fish out of butter. Kind of odd.
Yeah.
But we also see Mal tap into some of Svetlana's abilities, at least temporarily. Until Mike breaks Mal's control over her, to which it then causes Mal to punch the camera.
Yeah, which, if anyone is watching this and thinking this sounds like poorly written fan fiction, it's because it is. This whole season is like it's like someone on fanfiction.net wrote this entire season, and the writers were like, we haven't got any ideas for this season. Oh, we'll take this fan fiction, because Mal as a character is basically like what a stereotypical 13-year-old will think is edgy and cool for a villain.
Yeah. Or yeah. So Alejandro spends the entire episode trying to tell everybody about Mal, but nobody believes him. Maybe you should use the incriminating evidence after the challenge.
Yes, just get everyone just be like, come on to everyone and say, guys, I'm not trying to mess with yous here now. I promise. I've got a DVD here in my hand that is incriminating evidence against Mal. Come to the Spa Hotel and watch it with me.
But who would believe him?
Oh, yeah, because it's Alejandro. Nobody believes Alejandro. But, again, this is the thing. Like, Alejandro is so... Like, all he has to do is just take off his shirt and all the girls are fawning over him.
That's more Justin's thing, but fair.
But Alejandro's Alejandro's a better Justin, and he can do it better.
Fair enough. But yeah. Anyways, so Mal then plans to get everybody against Alejandro. Oh yeah, forgot to go into the challenge. Well, the challenge is kind of boring. It's just it's an obstacle course where you gotta run through tires, climb up a rope wall, and dodge being shot by leeches, zip line, yada yada yada. Honestly, the challenge is kind of boring.
Yeah, who cares about this challenge? It's so bad that it took us a while to be like, oh yeah, Chef's in his boot camp outfit again. It is that bad of a challenge that we don't even recognize that first.
Yeah. We also get but Zoe wins immunity and takes Mal with her to the Spa Hotel. Alejandro gets the royal flush, and then leaves a cryptic message about how the truth is in the art.
Yeah, which he could have just gone up to. Here's what he really could have done: just whispered in Zoe's ear out of Mal's sight, and be like, "Hey, the evidence for Mal is in this painting. Go and find it." But yeah, talk about a fall from grace for Al.
Yeah, poor Al.
Poor Al.
Anyway, on to what is considered the worst episode in the franchise. Episode 13, Sunday Buddy Sunday.
Yay! Yeah.
So basically,
go ahead. Which, by the way, with this episode, I was more like, with this. rather than being like more infuriating. Because I think at this point, all my infuriation was used up or saved for the finale.
But basically, the main reason why the episode gets so much attention is because of Courtney. So Courtney comes up with a chart of how she is going to get rid of her competition, even though she tells Gwen she's going to take her all the way. If she portrays Scott with like a rat's tail, and she's planning to take him to the finale because he'll let her win. This turns everybody against Courtney, and Courtney's like, why can't they appreciate my genius? When Courtney should not be this full of herself.
Yes, she shouldn't. I mean, she is full of herself, but not to this level. Also, I'm sorry I haven't been talking about the comments that I've been getting because I've just been getting so infuriated that I'm like, oh yeah, I've been neglecting to talk about the comments here. So, thanks for commenting, Ben. Thanks for commenting, Vex. So, this is total anus drama, at least based on Luke's glowing opinion of this show. No. Seasons 1 to 4, I would say are worth watching, Ben. But just pretend that season 5 and season 6, or the second part of season 5, just pretend that they are a fever dream concocted in the host's delusion, and you'll be fine. You will feel less pain than I did because that's literally the thought I am going with here. That this whole season is a fever dream that Chris is still concocting in his cell. And also, hi, Vex.
Hello, everybody. But anyways, the challenge is basically another race where they have to stop at certain locations to pick up ingredients to make an ice cream sundae.
Which, hey, what kind of challenge can we make for this episode? Ice cream sundae. Anyone got any other idea? Okay, fine. It's like, really? Making ice cream? That's the best they could come up with? Oh,
but they have to go into the swamp to get a cherry, or go into the mess hall to get.
That makes it more interesting then. Also, as well, how is Zoe not seeing any of this? How is Zoe not seeing any of this with Mike? How is Zoe not seeing it? She literally sees Mike tearing up the room at the beginning of the episode. Like, how is she not seeing this?
I almost forgot to mention, like, homie out here literally starving his interns. Like, Chris is literally just having his interns starve to death.
Oh yeah, I had that down as one of my notes. And seriously, Zoe, Alejandro gave you everything you needed to know. Why are you not taking advantage of it? And Courtney, you made it further in action.
Yeah. And I remember when Zoe's like, maybe Courtney is the evil lurking.
Excuse me while I do this quickly. Zoe, you should know. Like, I'm seriously convinced that I'm seriously convinced like these characters are clones of the original cast. These are not the same characters.
The only problem is Total Drama Attack the Clones actually sounds like a good idea. Or at least an idea I could have some dumb sarcastic fun with.
Yeah.
But, so, by the end, the end with the chocolates, to get the chocolate sauce, they have to get past a fire-breathing plant, which Mike shoves a rock into, causing it to explode, and for the chocolate to burn. So, Gwen forgoes the chocolate, Scott adds dirt to his ice cream, and um, uh, uh, Courtney decides to go with the burnt bits of chocolate, which causes her ice cream to melt and for a bird to vomit on it.
Yeah.
But since when is bird vomit supposed to be white?
I don't know. Well, I mean, seagull poo is white, so I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but that's coming out the other end.
This is what this season does to us. It makes us ask questions about bird vomit, about the color of bird vomit. This is what this season has done to us.
Zoe wins the challenge. Courtney gets the boot. Moving on, episode 12, Bold and the Bootyful. It's a treasure hunt, fucking yar.
Yeah. It's a treasure hunt for diamonds and rupees, and could have been so interesting if it was in any other season but this one.
So we have Zoe looking for Sasquatch and Aqua. Gwen trying to recover a painting from the wreckage of Chris's mansion. Scott trying to find the McLean diamond lodged in Fang's mouth. And Mal trying to find the long-lost gilded Chris statuette. Almost forgot. This is where Zoe learns about Mal in episode 12 of 13, when he starts becoming more of a major player in episode 6.
Yes. And again, but the only I can't believe I'm saying this because I hate this season with a passion, and it's a shame that it's in this season. Gwen's best performance in a season of total drama since season 1.
Yeah, this is the second time she's reached the merge, which is shocking because Gwen has competed in 4 seasons.
Yeah, and it's like, and for it to be in this season, it's like it is like the biggest FU to Gwen's character. It's like, you Gwen fans who wanted Gwen to be near the finals again. Yeah, we're going to put it in arguably the worst season.
Ooh, here's another thing. The plot itself is not all that interesting. Like, the challenge is not that. Well, the highlights of the challenge is Mal sabotages Gwen, and Mal turns Scott into a punching bag for Fang. Zoe procures the Yeti and earns herself a spot in the final. I know, I'm skimming through these, but literally, I am sick and tired of this fucking season.
Yeah, I am as well. The only thing, and it's a shame because this is literally Scott and Fang's fight. This could have been. This is basically Scott and Fang's final interaction in their runs on Total Drama, and it literally does not end with Scott giving Fang a sucker punch into the next oblivion.
I mean, he was basically doing that all last season.
Yeah, but this should have been the season where this should have been the moment where Scott finally beat Fang and got him off his back for good, and basically be like, "Look, you paralyzed me last season. Can you just leave me alone for Pete's sake?" So Gwen and Scott get eliminated at the end of this episode, leaving the final to come down to Mike and Zoe. So, in a season called Total Drama All Stars, we don't get a finale between generations. I repeat that. We don't get a finale between generations in a season that has 2 generations.
Ooh, or how about the fact that the reason why Gwen gets eliminated is because the picture was messed up, and the best way she could think to fix it is bear shit.
Yeah, which that has to be I think that's meant to be a reference to like a really messed up picture of Jesus. I'll find the painting, but I think that's where the reference comes from. Messed up picture of Jesus. Yeah, it's
So
this one.
basically,
Yeah, I found it. I found it here. So I'll send it to you in. I'll send it to you in DMs.
Okay, so Mal and Zoe in the finale. Mal drops the act and is like trying to psych out Zoe about being like, Mike's gone, never coming back.
Yeah,
and basically the challenge is another race to the top.
and basically a race to pull a sword from a stone.
Yep, after getting past 3 modes, one that's toxic waste, one that's lava, and the other that's just swamp water with Fang hiding underneath.
Yeah, which
Zoe gets Cameron and Gwen is helping. Go ahead.
Which, hey, Chris, I thought all the toxic waste have been cleaned up. Where have you got? Where are we hiding this toxic waste?
Yeah, Chris said the island was toxic waste free. Where did he get this stuff?
Yeah, and it's not like this is Chris's fault. Like the island was quarantined, so it should have been cleaned up. Where did he get this toxic waste from? Continuity much?
We then have Mal and Zoe get helpers. Cameron and Gwen for Zoe, Alejandro and Heather for Mal. Oh, another thing, Cameron gets put back in the fucking bubble. After proving he doesn't need the bubble, they put him back in the same bubble he was in for 16 years.
Well, okay, Tyler, calm down. The bubble did help.
Yeah, the bubble basically was there to act as a raft for Cameron and Gwen to get across the moat. Honestly, Alejandro and Heather are together, adorable. Skipping ahead because they do not add anything of interest.
Yeah, there is virtually no stakes in this finale. There is virtually nothing in this finale. The fact that it's 2 people who are already together. So either way, they're both going to win, no matter what ending happens.
It makes this entire ending feel pointless. Like both endings feel pointless.
Yeah, it does. It does.
When Zoe reaches when Zoe reaches the 3rd moat, she gets tackled by Mal, who comes up on a pogo stick after throwing Cameron and Gwen off the 2nd moat back down to the 1st moat. They wrestle in the water until here we gotta get to this moment.
We've got to get rid of this Band-Aid.
Okay. In the subconscious, Mike and his alters make his way to the tower. Vito was with a puppet, and Manitoba was burning all of Mike's hopes and dreams away. They make it to the big, creepy tower with Mal's face on it. They climb to the top, and the way they defeat Mal is by pressing a button. They press a fucking button. How insulting is that to people with actual DID? There are people in the world who have DID, and it's not like they could just turn it off. Nope, no more DID. All gone.
Yeah, this would be like, okay, this would be like if Mike had autism, and the only way to turn off his autism was to press a frigging button. And his autism was what was just this amalgamation of all negativity in the world. That would just, I would legitimately, as an autistic person, feel insulted by that. Because
I'm pretty sure every person with DID is insulted by this too.
Yeah, because if this was autism, like, the autism is a part of me. It's not something that is going to go away by a frigging button. In the same way that multiple personality disorder is not going to go away by a button to get rid of your frigging fanfiction anime villain. Because that is what Mel is. He is an anime villain, anime insert villain into the season. Hence why I say he's Hollow Ichigo in Ichigo's subconscious. Just fuck you, Mike and Mel.
Mike or Zoe win, depending on which ending you get. And it turns out the moats were built via using a fracking machine. So Camp Wawanakwa sinks into the ground. Sinks into the ocean. And that concludes Total Drama All-Stars.
Or total drama, total freaking garbage, more like. Not even Owen's cameo at the end could save this season. But yeah.
Forgot.
But yeah, basically, Emu from One Piece was attacking the island. If anyone's caught up on the manga, you'll know that.
So yeah, Total Drama All-Stars is, in my opinion, my least favorite season of all time. The characters are nothing like themselves. The challenges are boring. The stories are contrived. It is the worst thing Total Drama has ever left its trademark on.
Yeah, it's insulting. It's insulting to fans of the series. It's insulting to people with intelligence. Like, even if you don't know, like, who all these characters are, you're just going into the season, like, just without a prior knowledge to the other seasons. It's insulting to your intelligence. It's insulting to basic common sense, and it's just straight up insulting to people with multiple personality disorder.
But
like
this,
with this season, I'm sorry, Fex. I'm saying it right now. This season is worse than Power Rangers Megaforce. I feel like Tyler, when we get to that, would probably agree, because Megaforce is more disappointing than it is frustrating. This is just straight up frustrating and insulting to people's intelligence.
But with this, it's over.
Yes.
The hard part is over.
It's all over.
Uphill from here. Even if it's not that much better by a large margin, it's still uphill from here.
Yeah. So with that, I think at some point what we need to do is just do a general stream on what we think are some of our least favorite overall seasons of any franchise ever, so that we can rip into the season again. But until then, peace. I think we all need a drink after this.
Peace. See you for Pacateo.